Bismillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ba'd. So we left off last class explaining the poem that is by Al-Mutanabbi, which is the first poem of Al-Mutanabbi in his diwan, which begins with أعذر العواذل حول قلب التائه وأهوى الأحبة منه في سودائه يشكو الملام إلى اللوائم حره ويصد حين يلمن عن برحائه. And we said this poem is in contrast to the poem that precedes this, that begins with القلب أعلم يا عذول بدائه, which spends a long time discussing the nature of the heart, the nature of the pain that's caused by the heart, the nature of the individuals that are reproaching him, and the advice that he gives to those who reproach him. And then, after all of that, the poet arrived at the purpose of the poem, which was al-madh, which is to praise Saif ad-Dawla. And he did so, as we said in previous classes, in the form of a slight, and then sort of cleaning it up at the end of the poem. And Mutanabbi didn't do this. He spends two verses discussing the nature of the situation, where he says, عَذْلُ الْعَوَاذِلِ حَوْلَ قَلْبِ التَّائِهِ وهوى الأحبة منه في سودائه يشكو الملام إلى اللوائم حره ويصد حين يلمن عن برحائه. And that is the end of that. That's the end of speaking about this turmoil that is taking place due to the heart, as opposed to due to the heart at the hands of the reproacher. So he ends the topic of the pain of the heart and those who are reproaching the one who is afflicted with love. And he states, وَبِمُهْجَتِي يَا عَاذِلِ الْمَلِكُ الَّذِي أَسْخَطْتُ كُلَّ النَّاسِ فِي إِرْضَائِهِ. And so in this poem, in this particular verse, he introduces the main purpose of the poem, which is al-madh, which is praising Saif ad-Dawla. And so the first word and the only word that we see in this particular verse that is something that we haven't covered, or is something that is not commonly used, is the word muhja. And muhja means the soul or the essence. So the essence of a particular thing is in muhja. It's vital for life, and it's often used in poems to denote one's deepest self. A possible synonym includes a nafs or a ruh. And so the nafs carries the meaning of not only the self, but also the identity. And the ruh, it refers to the soul or the spirit in a spiritual or metaphysical sense. And so here the poet Al-Mutanabbi uses this word muhja because he wants to swear by his very essence, by the thing that provides him life and his deepest self. So he says, وَبِمُهْجَتِي يَا عَاذِلِ الْمَلِكُ الَّذِي أَسْخَطْتُ كُلَّ النَّاسِ فِي إِرْضَائِهِ. So in this particular verse, Al-Mutanabbi does mention the reproachers, where he says, Ya adil. But the purpose of the verse is to address how he feels and how he holds in high regard Saif ad-Dawla, where he says, Wabi muhajati. He swears using the harf al-ba, بمهجتي يا عادل الملك الذي أسخطت كل الناس في إرضائه. So he says that he sacrifices himself for the one who he angers all due to his desire to please him. So as you notice that he says الذي وبمهجتي الملك الذي, and we know that using this word الذي is similar to using a description, because what comes after the الذي, it describes the noun. So الملك الذي أسخطت كل الناس في إرضائه. So what is the description of this Malik? He doesn't describe the Malik as being being fierce, doesn't describe him as being generous. He describes him as الذي أسخطت كل الناس في إرضائه. And so we mentioned before that Al-Mutanabbi, he is very self-absorbed, and he seizes the opportunity to turn the attention not only to the individual that he's supposed to be praising, but he also wants the attention to be on himself. He's self-absorbed. So al-Malik alladhi askhattu. So he's letting us know that he is the one who causes everybody, kull nas. He's the one who angers everybody because he is pleasing the Malik. He does not leave the Malik. He does not abandon him. He doesn't leave him to go to serve in another court. He doesn't speak ill of him. And so this self-absorption is evident in this particular verse where he says, Al-Maliku, he doesn't say Al-Maliku Al-Kareem, Al-Shadid, or any of the descriptions that were mentioned in the first poem that we explained. But what is his description of Al-Malik is الذي أسخطت كل الناس في إرضائه. And so we notice here he uses كل الناس. So his anger encompasses everybody in the universe because, like we said, he is very self-absorbed. And so he believes that he is at a certain level in the eyes of people, that if he doesn't leave Saif ad-Dawla and go with them, that he's angering everybody in existence. وبمهجتي يا عادل الملك الذي أسخطت كل الناس في إرضائه. He continues this madh, this praising of Saif ad-Dawla, where he states, إن كان قد ملك القلوب فإنه ملك الزمان بأرضه وسمائه. So the in is frequently used as in a conditional statement. In this particular sentence here, in this particular verse, it is not used as a condition. In this verse here, it's used to emphasize that this scenario that he's presenting is not something that one would reasonably expect to happen. The second word that stands out is kana, in kana. And using the kana lets us know that he is talking about something that is in the past tense. Another word that we find is az-zaman, and it's time, which refers to continuous progression of existence and events. It encompasses the past, the present, and the future. It can also signify a specific period or era in history or life. Its synonyms include al-waqt, focusing on a specific moments or durations; al-asr, which is an era or an age referring to a significant historical period; or ad-dahr, which is eternity or long stretches of time. So here he's saying, إن كان قد ملك القلوب فإنه ملك الزمان بأرضه وسمائه. This is a gross exaggeration, and this is something that Mutanabbi is very famous for, even though, in poetry it is very common for exaggerations, but Mutanabbi, he sort of personifies the exaggeration of poetry, particularly in this verse where he says, إن كان قد ملك القلوب فإنه ملك الزمان بأرضه وسمائه, speaking about Sayf ad-Dawla. So he's saying if Sayf ad-Dawla is ruled over the hearts, or he possesses إن كان قد ملك القلوب, if he possesses all of the hearts, all of the people love him because of his endearing qualities. إن كان قد ملك القلوب فإنه ملك الزمان بأرضه وسمائه. And so if you notice that Sayf ad-Dawla has possession, was able to seize the heart due to all of his endearing qualities, don't be shocked. So we said using this in is used to indicate that something is not expected to happen, or it rarely happens. So in kana qad malaka al-qulub, that this owning of the heart is something that is not common amongst people. This is why the in is used here. So he's saying here, don't be surprised. In kana qad malaka al-qulub, don't be surprised that he's able to seize and own and have possession of people's hearts. فَإِنَّهُ مَلَكَ الزَّمَانَ بِأَرْضِهِ وَسَمَائِهِ. This is not surprising because he rules over time itself and all that it encompasses. And the hearts are merely part of time and among the many things that he has mastered. He continues where he says, الشمس من حسادي والنصر من قرنائه والسيف من أسمائه. This particular verse is it's sort of self-explanatory, where he says, "As-sayfu ash-shamsu min husadihi," that the sun envy is amongst his enviers. وَالنَّصْرُ مِنْ قُرَنَائِهِ, and that victory is his companion, or amongst his companions. وَالسَّيْفُ مِنْ أَسْمَائِهِ, and the word safe is amongst his names. So he's saying, ash-shamsu min husadihi, the sun is amongst the many things that envy him. The sun, with all of its benefit and beauty and impact, it envies him because he, in this particular verse, is alluding that Sayf ad-Dawla is more beautiful, is more greater, has more impact on the world. He continues, he says, وَالنَّصْرُ مِنْ قُرَنَائِهِ, and that he is always victorious wherever he goes. وَالسَّيْفُ مِنْ أَسْمَائِهِ, and that the word Saif, which is a sword, is one of his names because he's known by Sayf ad-Dawla, with his true name being Ali ibn Abdullah. So he goes on and continues this madh, this praising of Sayf ad-Dawla, where he says, أين الثلاثة من ثلاث خلاله من حسنه وإبائه ومضائه. So the first word that sticks out is in khulla. He says khilalihi, and it is a single trait or quality. One of the possible synonyms include a sifa or sifat, which is a broad term for attributes and not necessarily something that's inherent. Iba is pride or refusal, and mada is resolve or decisiveness. And one of the possible synonyms for mada is azima, which is inner strength and determination. So after saying الشمس من حساده والنصر من قرنائه والسيف من أسمائه أين الثلاثة من ثلاث خلاله من حسنه وإبائه ومضائه. So after saying that الشمس من حساده, that the sun is amongst the many things in this earth that envy him, والنصر من قرنائه والسيف من أسمائه أين الثلاثة. How does the beauty of the sun, الثلاثة is referring to those three things that he talked about, الشمس, النصر, السيف. So the three here, أين الثلاثة, he's referring to those three things. The first one being الشمس, the second one being النصر, the third one being السيف. أين الثلاثة من ثلاث خلاله. How does the beauty of the sun compare to his beauty? من ثلاث خلاله, talking about his traits, his three traits. How does the beauty of the sun compare to his beauty? How does victory compare to his pride? He is far more resistant and he is far more resistant to humiliation than victory itself, as the one who possesses victory rejects humiliation. And how does the sharpness of the sword compare to his sharpness in decision making? Mada'ihi, his resolve in decision making. أين الثلاثة من ثلاث خلاله من حسنه وإبائه ومضائه. And Al-Mutanabbi ends this madh or this praise of Sayf al-Dawla where he says مضت الدهور وما أتينا بمثله ولقد أتى فعجزنا عن نظرائه. مضت الدهور, that the time has passed. وما أتينا بمثله, and the time has never produced anyone like him. مضت الدهور وما أتينا بمثله, time has passed yet has never produced anyone like him. ولقد أتى فعجزنا عن نظرائه. ولقد أتى meaning Sayf al-Dawla. ولقد أتى, Sayf al-Dawla has come into existence. فعجزنا عن نظرائه. عجزناه is referring to الدهور. مضت الدهور وما أتينا بمثله ولقد أتى فعجزنا عن نظرائه. Time has passed, yet has never produced anyone like him. And when Sayf al-Dawla came into existence, time has become incapable of producing anyone comparable to him. Thus, he has no equal neither in the past nor in his present. This concludes the first poem of Al-Mutanabbi in his Diwan, and we will continue next class with the second poem in Diwan Al-Mutanabbi.